I know that you're an expert in personal branding and helping people establish themselves as a being known for something and standing for something. How do you think personal brand from a mental health perspective plays out when you have a negative self story and you so badly want the world to view you as something else? How do you cross the bridge?
Bearing witness is a legal term. Basically, when you're at court and you put on the stand, you just have to give an account of what you've seen, what you've heard as facts. And how I help people start the journey with if they've got a negative view of themselves is like, you need to look at bearing witness to what you've done. Like, so many people are more competent than what they think, and the evidence is there. And I need to point them in that right direction and say, like, listen, let's look at your timeline. You have grown a great business. You have a great family. You're profiting here. You've won an award here, or you even for your family history, you've come from this and not repeated the cycle. And they're some of the ingredients we have then to be able to craft. I guess it's self-creation. This concept of self-creation. We can craft a new story you can believe in, based on not imaginary things, but on facts. And that's where I begin when
Mm.
people who are insecure about themselves.
Yeah, it's a cognitive behavioral therapy technique, right? Is to challenge false stories with actual evidence and facts. And it's hard to see evidence when your story feels so familiar that it feels like a fact.
Mm.
And it is through deep investigation and challenging that we are able to craft a new view of ourselves and the world. As a personal brand expert, what's the one word that you want people to describe you as?
I guess one word would be honest. Personal branding is a lot to do with identity. That's why I love the work. That's why it makes so much sense with my journey from being an adoptee to have gone through what I've gone through and wanting to help people with their identities, through youth to professionals. When you know who you are, you become less shakeable, and you have then a base to build on. You're not changing costumes
Mm.
every second because you're told, like, it's personal branding is a synonym for identity building for me.
And what are some of the most stable building blocks you have found for someone to achieve a positive personal brand on social media? And I'm curious to see what the answers are because it might correlate to how people use those building blocks to build their own mental health.
Yeah, I'll give a little bit of a framework with story building for personal branding. And I'm going to borrow a page from our good friend Peter Parker. I love Peter Parker. As a kid, I loved Spider-Man. And some of the best personal brands are actually not real people. They're the most promotable brands are like the Tony Starks who Audi paid $300 million to put him in. He's not a real person. Or James Bond, who Amiga pays millions of dollars to, and he's not a real person. And the thing that really sticks out about Spider-Man's story for me, and you can use this framework for your own brands, is Peter has a context. Where's he from? He's from Manhattan, lives with his Aunt May, Uncle Ben, and his parents passed away. What's his situation at school? Well, he's a nerdy kid. He's not cool. He's awkward around girls. He's a nerd essentially in the comics. And then you go into there was a defining moment. Something happened in his life where he was bitten by a spider, and that gave him an ability. He discovered an ability, but he's not yet a hero or a villain yet. He discovered his purpose through tragedy, through pain, which is when he let a criminal go, and that criminal actually ended up killing his uncle. His dying words were, remember what I said, with great power comes great responsibility. And that was when Spider-Man was birthed. So it was from context to discovery of abilities to then discovering purpose. And then that's at one end of the spectrum. And the other end of the spectrum, there's the defining attributes of Spider-Man. There's the alter ego of Spider-Man, which is Peter, and then the ego, the other side of it is Spider-Man, which is what's his defining physical attributes? Well, you see the colors red and blue. You see a spider symbol. That's your logo. You see certain powers that he has. That's what Spider-Man's known for. And if you have a spectrum like this, when you get closer in the middle from your story and your hero with the mask, you become more authentic. And I think that's where the sweet spot is.
We're trying to close the gap between what people think we are and who we are, and it's authenticity that really allows people to shine bright.
That's right. Yeah. And I'll say this too, like some would say, hey, Matt, is that a little bit like, are you saying to curate some things? And I'm suggesting, yeah, you do. And curation's become a dirty C word to some content creators or people who are on the full authentic route. And I think when you go for a job interview, you don't say, I like sushi in your resume. You don't say, I like Bonds as
Mm.
my underwear. You curate. You you want to present in context the best message forward for yourself to be able to get the role that suits their organization. Resumes are a marketing document. People might think I'm not a marketer, but resumes are for the person who are looking to hire, not about you, it's for them. So it's the same type of deal. How can I craft my story with the important parts? That's what movies are so good at. You never see Jason Bourne in a movie with a scene where he goes up to Fitness First and gets his membership sign up and goes through the list with the receptionist. That's not in any movie because what's the point? So they everything has to support the story. Every note, every lyric, no matter how skilled you are, no matter how technically good you are in a song, everything has to be rendered under it. Does it support the song or does it distract from the song? And it's the same as the message.
Yeah, perception really is just the sum of a bunch of small, discrete parts that end up adding up to become who we are. And then that image of the way that we are viewed by the world gets perpetually reinforced back to us and creates a character. Uh, I think some people feel trapped by the character that the world views them as, and then they've reinforced themselves to be. Have you had instances where you've worked with people who don't want to be perceived a certain way and actually want to change that? And if so, do they have to change internally before the external world sees it as that? I do believe that we attract into our life what we think we deserve and are worthy of. And the hardest part is shifting our internal sense of worth, a huge thing. Other than surrounding yourself with the right people, what is, can you give me two, maybe three examples of how you've built self worth over the course of your life after being told, to use your words, you were a piece of garbage?
Mm-hmm. When I was 12, my dad gave me a guitar, and I had no idea if I'd take to it or not, being that young. But I discovered very quickly that this instrument or music and me was like the perfect match made in heaven. Creativity to express myself through something other than anger or through physical lashing out or verbally losing control. So I had an outlet that really channeled my energy towards something beautiful. And I remember when I was about 14, 15, I started getting really, really good at it because I was intrinsically motivated to learn. And I was quickly recognized by a lot of people in my school and in the city. I was playing gigs by I was 15, 16. I played session music, played a tour with Jimmy Barnes when I was in my early 20s. I was, session music. And I remember I was 14 years old and I was figuring out by ear one of the hardest songs I've had in my mind. If I could learn this song, I'm doing all right. And as I was figuring out in real time, no guitar teacher, just figuring it by ear, I caught myself looking at myself going, you know what, Matt, you're not a piece of shit. And
Mm.
that was one of the best therapies I've ever had in my life was being able to get on a guitar or get something creative, have an aim, and being able to have this gift to be able to figure out patterns. Pattern recognition is one of the strongest things in my arsenal. I can look at a movie, can hear a song, I know what key it's in, I know how to replicate that, I know the gradients to be able, and then make it contextual to a person. And that was one of the best building blocks for my confidence because one, that was an ability, like something I could actually pave, be productive with. It can earn a living, it can help people. The second thing was having a verbal sparring partner. Verbal sparring partners are just like having a boxing partner. You're not trying to kill each other in the ring, but you do have simulations of real debate. testing out ideas, testing out moves, not having a safe space to be able to say, I had this thought about some controversial idea without the fear of being judged for it or being posted on about, and help someone going, what's the best argument against that, Matt? Like, oh, I didn't think about that. And then getting better and better and better. So that was intellectually brawling in a way through conversation, sparring. And the third thing, I guess, if it was the third thing for me, was having a philosophy. Philosophy is the great middle ground, or it can be the primary main show for a lot of people that helps you make sense of things in life. There's science, which is amazing. Science is incredible with the study of observations of behavior in the world. And philosophy is philo means in the Greek means lover of wisdom. Philo, lover, Sophie of wisdom. When I discovered philosophy like Socrates and Plato and Seneca and all these things as an early 20-year-old, it changed my life because it gave my brain an OS system to be able to put my problems through, and it helped me, gave me tools to that, combined with some science or some mental health training, was like, made me just zoom out, pinch out rather than double tap. I can double tap on things and zoom out because I have these tools.